Update. Am I the a-hole for confronting my boyfriend with his wife in public? Original post. I, 26 female, started dating my now boyfriend, 35 male. We have been dating for 7 months. A month ago, he told me he had to talk to me about something important. I honestly thought maybe he just wanted to break up with me, but what he said was so much worse. My boyfriend sat me down and said that there was a problem. The problem being his falling in love with me. When he said that, I got so confused. I didn't understand what the problem was. I asked him why that was a problem and that when he told me that he's actually married and has been divorced and lied about his age as he's actually 42. I sat there shocked and I didn't know what to say. When I finally came out of it, I got up, grabbed my stuff, and told him to never call or text me again. He tried saying what most cheaters do, that I was different, and his wife and him hadn't been happy in a really long time and was considering getting a divorce. I still grabbed my stuff and left, and I didn't think twice about it. The problem came about 2 weeks ago. My period was 2 months late. I wasn't worried because I am extremely irregular, but after being late for a second month, I decided to take an EPT. It was positive. I thought maybe it was a false positive, so I took 6 more tests and they were all positive. I was so upset I cried out of shock and anger because of the situation as a whole. I called my now ex-boyfriend. He didn't respond. I texted him telling him I needed to talk to him and radio silence. After days of calling and texting, he finally answered the phone and said if I was pregnant, he didn't think it was his, and to stop texting and calling, then hung up. I was livid. How dare he? I wasn't the one lying and cheating. Now being pregnant, I would have to explain to my family the real reason I broke up with him and tell them I'm pregnant. Fast forward to Mother's Day weekend, my family and I went out to dinner Saturday night to celebrate. I'm about 12 weeks along in my pregnancy and have to pee all the time. As I was walking to the bathroom, I saw my lying ex, and he was there with his family or friends, and based on body language, his wife. I was so hurt and angry about everything. I didn't think before acting. I went to their table, I introduced myself. I told everyone at the table what happened from the start to finish, showed them pictures of us together and texts. As a final note, I announced my pregnancy. And before leaving the table, I grabbed his drink and threw it at him. I then looked over at his wife. She was bawling and I felt so bad, but I was just so hurt and angry. Did I take it too far? Am I the a-hole? Should I have done things differently? Edit. He doesn't have children. His wife and him were having dinner with all adults at their table while my family was celebrating Mother's Day. I'm considering terminating the pregnancy but have not decided one way or the other. My ex reached out offering to pay for the procedure because he doesn't want a child that never has. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Why would you carry a child for another man if you aren't married to him? This man you are pregnant by has the following qualities so far. 1. He is a cheater. 2. He is a liar. 3. He doesn't want children, so he will not be a decent father even if you have child support. Now, your feelings about him may be valid, but so is the assessment based on the info you gave. It's simply easier to raise a child with a willing partner, and one other than this guy. I was set on terminating until I heard my baby's heartbeat. Now I'm struggling to go through with it. I don't want him in my life, and I won't be asking for child support if I keep my baby. I never want to see him again. It's not just your baby though. Any child you carry for a man deserves the added stability of a 2-parent home. That's all I'm trying to say. Single parenting isn't all people make it out to be. Get out of here with that nonsense. If she doesn't put him on the birth certificate, it is just her baby. And considering he doesn't want a baby, he probably couldn't even fight for rights. OP, take that baby if you want it and go somewhere new and start over. Honestly, that's what I've been thinking. I've recently gotten a fully remote role and I'm looking to move out of state. However, my family's being very supportive and are okay with whatever I decide. They have also stated they will help with my baby if I keep it. My sibling has children and they're very involved in their lives, so I don't doubt what they are saying. So it's a very viable option to just stay near my family and raise my baby. After hearing my baby's heartbeat, it's hard to think about terminating the pregnancy. Whatever choice I make will have a life-altering effect. If I choose to keep my baby, my life changes. If I choose to have the procedure, my life still changes, and I'd have to live with going through with it. Not the whole. I don't know that there's such a thing as taking it too far in this case. I kind of wish more women did this to men like that. Perhaps fewer men would do it if this became more common. You could text him back. and point out that if he doesn't want children, he should be more careful where he dips it. And if you decide to keep the kid, he's going to end up paying a lot more than that. Terrible situation all around. I think you get a pass on anything that isn't illegal on this one. Best of luck whatever you decide to do. And now for the update. His wife reached out to me and wanted to meet up. I met up with her. I felt like it was the least I could do after everything that happened. She thanked me for everything I did and said and let me know she filed for divorce. She had enough of the lies and cheating. I was one of many over the time of their marriage. Told me I was the first woman to actually present pictures, texts, a pregnancy test, an ultrasound, and I felt I was being genuine about what happened. I apologized, saying I never wanted to embarrass her. I was just so angry I saw red. I told her if I had known he was married, I would have never dated him. She told me to not worry and believed me, especially with what I did when I saw him. She apologized to me for everything he did. This woman is a freaking saint. She deserves better. We cried about everything we've been through and comforted each other through this mess he created. I felt so much better having a heart-to-heart with her and wish her the best. It was no surprise that he came looking for me, begging me to forgive him. I told him to get lost and I never wanted to see him again, especially after saying the baby was not his. I wasn't surprised he tried coming back, especially after his wife filed for divorce. When it comes to my baby, there is also an update. After a lot of thinking, I had decided to keep my baby. Unfortunately, I was having issues with some bleeding due to the fetus not being fully attached properly to my uterine wall. While being on bed rest this past week, the bleeding got worse and I lost my baby. After having the miscarriage, it's been a very difficult time. I know everything happens for a reason, but it really hurts. I have a lot of guilt surrounding the miscarriage because I wanted to terminate, so I partially blame myself. So now I'm just taking some time to heal and grieve my baby. Thank you for all the advice and comments. Honestly, so glad your wife didn't blame the OP. I hope they remain friends and thrive to rub it in the ex's face. Poor OP and the wife. I hope she's found a way to stop blaming herself. She's not to blame for her miscarriage, no matter what she might have thought when she first found out. Glad the women in this story helped each other and both dumped the cheating ex. Hope they're both in a better place now. Finally, a wife who doesn't immediately blame the mistress but instead recognizes that her husband is to blame, especially when he lied to both of them. I've read too many stories of wives saying she trapped him or she came on to him and then trying to work it out with a cheater. It's so refreshing to see a wife say, "I'm leaving," and recognize that he did this. I know that there are a lot of situations where the mistress knows he's married and shares the blame. I'm just speaking to the situations where they're both duped. Last update. Things are good now after a long healing process. I started fresh. My miscarriage took a very hard toll on my body and there were lots of complications post-miscarriage. After finally healing properly physically and getting cleared with my doctor post-miscarriage, I decided to do something for myself. My job is completely remote, so I have been traveling a lot, living in different places for a few months before exploring something new. My primary focus now is healing spiritually and mentally after such a difficult time. Even though losing my baby was awful, I have a fresh start where I can be completely free of everything that happened. His ex-wife, because she did get a divorce, and I keep in touch. We have been a great support system to one another during a very challenging time, but I'm thriving and persevering. Now for the last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for calling my boyfriend's sister a witch? Original post. My boyfriend, both 18, comes from a hockey-obsessed family and that's saying something considering we live in Canada. Lol. I don't know anything about hockey, except like the Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff in years. I don't know. I also know like the names of good-looking hockey players that sometimes show up on TikTok. My boyfriend doesn't care. He does plan on making me a hockey fan though. Anyways, I was a tiny bit scared to meet his family since his friends made a big deal out of how intense they were as hockey fans. But they were all pretty chill. I did get teased lightheartedly, but they were nice. Except his older sister, 28. She started asking me hockey trivia questions that I clearly didn't know the answers of, and kept mocking me. She then sort of looked me up and down and said, "You're one of those girls, aren't you?" I asked her what she meant, and she said I was a girly girl considering how much I dressed up for a casual family dinner. I asked her why that was an issue, and she said it wasn't and all his girlfriends have been girly girls, but at least they were pretty. I was really hurt by that. I asked her why she was being so rude and she told me that she was just telling the truth. Apparently, my boyfriend has a type and I don't fit that. He also had standards and dated people on his level who, despite their girliness, knew the basics of hockey and were actually pretty. I was confused, hurt, and annoyed and ended up calling her a freaking witch under my breath. And surprisingly, she heard it and started yelling at me and said that I better treat her with respect or else. I just said whatever and waited for my boyfriend. He was trying to find something in the basement. I stuck to him the entire night, but his sister kept glaring at me, and before I left, she told me that she was just being honest and telling me how incompatible we are. That I had no right to call her a witch and she wanted me to apologize. I said no and left, but she found my Insta and sent me pictures of his exes to prove her point and said, "Now where's my apology?" I haven't answered yet, but I'm conflicted. I know I'm not his type, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I also feel like I don't have to apologize since she was being a massive witch, but I guess she wasn't wrong and was indeed telling the truth. I don't know. I'm just hurt. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My boyfriend isn't aware of anything that's going on, and my friend who told me to post on here just read this and told me that I'm missing a very important piece of information. I'm brown and my boyfriend and his family are white. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. If she was just telling the truth and expecting you to handle it, she can likewise just deal because you were just telling the truth. Can't with people who disguise blatant insults as just telling the truth. Not the a-hole, and I absolutely hate that word, and rarely if ever use it because I don't think that gendered words should be used as slurs. But damned if that woman didn't deserve it. I'm Canadian, old enough to be both of your moms. A very bright, accomplished woman and a former model when I was your age. And I don't know a damn thing about hockey, nor do I care. I never have and I never will. Find it unbelievably boring. Can't tell the players apart for all the padding and uniforms and helmets. Could not care less. And you know what? Contrary to what the ridiculous, almost 30-year-old woman thinks, it doesn't say a damn thing about my character, or yours. Her comment about being on his level? What does that even mean? What does she think a level is? It's a meaningless insult meant to make it sound like he's, what, something special? Because he likes hockey and knows the rules and players? So do millions of other people. Doesn't make him special, or her. It's just a sport, and I have no issue with the people who love it. I'm very happy that they have something they enjoy, just as I am for anyone else with a hobby they love. But the fact that she thinks that being hockey fans makes them magically special and on some other level from you or anyone else, I'm literally snickering. My friend, not only was she rude AF to you, she's delusional. Also, maybe a little racist, but even if she isn't, it doesn't matter. Because she has no manners, and she's way too old to think that literally just being a hockey fan gives her the right to treat another human being like garbage. Delusional and ridiculous. It's just hockey. You were rude, but it was absolutely called for. Not the a-hole. Firstly, you sound really cool and I admire you already. Secondly, my boyfriend's actually a hockey player and so is his father. But again, so are loads of other people. It truly is just hockey. And his sister doesn't play, so yeah, you're right. And now for the update. Firstly, sorry for updating so late. Life's been crazy and I just randomly checked my account earlier and saw a few people asking me for an update. But yeah, I don't use this site and was a tiny bit overwhelmed seeing the response I got. I also saw my post on TikTok, which scared the heck out of me, but that's a story for another day. I got a lot of comments and advice. I firstly want to say thank you for being super kind to me. It was really heartwarming, and it gave me a little bit of courage to tell my boyfriend what happened. I eventually told him what happened and showed him the messages his sister had sent me. He just hugged me really tight and told me that if she ever says anything like that to me again, to tell him straight away. He made me block her and then he called her right in front of me and told her to get the heck out of his personal life and stop acting like such a creep. He informed me that his sister is barely in his life because of how she treats him and apologized for not telling me earlier. I was still a little unsure of everything, to be honest, especially since coming to the realization that his sister's comments were rooted in racism. I asked him what he thought about me being a person of color. He told me that it's new to him considering he's been surrounded by white people all his life, but he loves me regardless. He said, "Love guys." I might have fainted. I know a lot of people think I should run, but I don't want to. I think I love him too. Yeah, we're only 18. Come from extremely different cultures, and his sister is going to be a somewhat permanent thing, but right now I think we'll be okay. He doesn't think that way, nor do his other family members. His mom's a sweetheart. If I ever get even the slightest hint that he's actually a terrible person and just like his sister, then yeah, I'm definitely leaving. But they aren't the same person and I can recognize that. After all, my parents don't even know about our relationship because I'm scared of how they might act. It would be a bit unfair if I dumped him over the actions of his sister. Thanks again for all the sweet and supportive comments. I don't think you guys will ever understand how much I appreciated them. Dude sounds like a keeper. Don't let a sister sway you from what, by all accounts, is an otherwise great relationship, especially if he has no meaningful relationship with her. And based on your original post, the rest of his family seemed cool. Really glad it worked out. Good luck to you both. So glad he had your back, OP, and hope this might encourage you. Hubby and I got together at 18. That was 19 years ago. He has some extremely toxic family, and we want no contact with them. I'm happy to run interference for him too when necessary. His other family I adore, enough that I am his grandma's caregiver, and my family adores him too. So if you guys are right, keep your relationship healthy through life struggles. Don't worry about age. A happy, healthy relationship is a rock that will see you through things you never thought you could endure. And honestly, some of the dating horror stories out there make me pretty darn glad to have dodged all those bullets. Avoiding bad relationships isn't a bad life choice, in my opinion. Lol. So glad things have worked out well. Just because I'm nosy, but did he tell his parents about his sister? I would be really interested in finding out their stake on the situation. Would help establish whether they are a family rooted in racist beliefs or whether his sister is just an absolute horrible jerk. This might help you deal with any family situations in the future. Whatever the case, it's not about hockey. Though maybe it's worth getting yourself to some matches if you really like him. I believe he told his mother, who is now apparently not letting her back in the house until she straightens out. I'm sure there's a quite few other things happening considering she's been an issue for my boyfriend for a while now, but yeah. And my boyfriend is actually a great hockey player, and I do plan on going to all his games, if I can, once the games start.